Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the What Shara Made podcast. I hope you've all been very crafty and having a relaxing week since the last episode. I know I have. It's been a busy week, but stress-free. I've only got one active whip this week, but I have got an FO and I've got a happy story to tell. I've got a giveaway announcement and I've got some dyeing to show as well. So I might as well dive straight in. I'm just looking, instead of notes, I have everything I want to talk about stacked up next to me, and that reminds me, rather than having notes. Show notes during the filming don't seem to help me very much. I might dive straight into my whip. Now, you might remember the little cardigan from the last episode that I made as a sample for my local yarn store. It was loosely based on a pattern I've already written called the La Faune jacket, which is a Tunisian crochet pattern. And I'm doing another version of it, another sample, just to make sure everything is going smoothly before I publish the pattern. You really can't tell what it is from this point here, so it's a bit hard to tell what it is, but this is my only active whip so far. I'm working on the sleeves at the moment. That's what these are. This sleeve is finished. Sorry about clicking that on the table there. That sleeve is finished. You can sort of see it, how that is going to be a cardigan, if it wasn't quite so curly. And I'm using Cricket Superfine Merino in the colourway, it's a new colourway, brand new. Amber. The colourway is amber, and it's a beautiful dusty yellow, my favourite. Love it. And if you haven't used this yarn before, it's beautiful. It's really nice to use, and it's super soft like butter. And I don't know if this is going to focus, but it's an S on S ply, which makes it really, really springy. And I think there's probably about 9 ultra fine plies in the yarn, and it makes it really springy, but it also means it has a beautiful drape as well. And it seems to be working really nicely in this fabric. It's actually quite stretchy for Tunisian crochet. That doesn't typically lend itself to a stretchy fabric, but it's working quite well in this yarn, so I'm really pleased with that. It's actually, not only is it going to be a sample for the pattern, but this is going to be a birthday present for a little friend who is turning 1 next week. So I think she will like that. She'll look really cute in it. So that's my only active whip this week. But I have got some FOs. Well, one you might notice, I'm wearing it. This is, I wonder if I can show you, pull my DAX up. It's the, you can see the little curved hem there. Oh, it's not sitting right, but little curved hem. It's pretty cute. I have been wearing this ever since I finished it love it. I knew, even though I had horrible trouble with it, not because of the pattern, just because of me, but I persevered with it because I knew I would really, really love it once it was finished, and I was right, I do love it. It's really comfortable to wear, and it's been perfect in this little transitional weather phase where we're moving from winter into spring. And you can see I've just got a long sleeved or 3/4 length sleeve t-shirt underneath it, and it's perfect. It's the Hawksbill pattern by Christina Deney. Apologies, Christina, if I just butchered your name. But hopefully I've put it along here for you to read, and it'll be in the show notes as well. Yeah, great. Absolutely love it. The yarn I used was Ballastoria Reaver, and you can see it's got like coloured flecks in it, tweed. It's really beautiful. Love it. It's worn so well considering how much I unravelled it and re-knit it, so that's always a great sign. I wore this into the city earlier in the week, and when I go into the city from my town, I catch a bus that goes just once a day. It goes in, and once a day it comes back. And it goes all the way from my town, all the way straight into the city. It's perfect, it's brilliant. And when I was at the bus stop waiting, the bus arrived, and we had the old weird replacement bus, which I think is probably older than me, because the bus, which is lovely, that we normally have, had broken down. So we had this replacement bus, and I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when I got on it, the air conditioning was stuck on, and it was obviously set to Arctic wind, and I was freezing the whole way there. And when I got off the bus, I was like a little ice block. And the bus driver, because all the passengers on the bus were like, oh, can you turn the heating on? And the bus driver was, it's broken, I can't. And he promised us as we all got off at the city, I'll try and fix the air conditioning, I'll try and at least turn it off before you all get back on this evening. And we're like, oh, thanks, that'd be great. But he didn't. And of course, by that time in the evening, it was much, much cooler already anyway outside. Then we get on the bus, it was like getting into a freezer, and I had this on with a t-shirt like this, and I was dying. I was absolutely dying. I had one shawl with me and some fingerless mitts, and it just wasn't warm enough. So I was trying to jiggle around and warm myself up a bit, but there's only so much you can do while you're sitting on a bus. And I had some reusable fabric shopping bags, the sort you roll up and just keep in your handbag, and I unrolled those and tucked them around my legs like a blanket, and that actually really helped. And then I got my fingerless mitts, and I took my thumb out and pulled them up so that they covered this part of my arm, and knit as quick as I could to try and warm myself up. And I managed to survive, but I think like my brain had frozen or something by the time I got back to my town, because it's a long bus ride. But yeah, I was a bit traumatized. So this top wasn't suitable for that, for Arctic wind, but in all other circumstances, it's been quite delightful. So I actually think I'll probably make more of this top, because now that I've figured out my little gauge issues and things like that, it was actually a really quick, easy knit. So I'll probably be making more of these. I really like it. So my next finished object is a pair of fingerless mitts. There you go. And this pattern is a modified version of the rain mittens. I don't know how to pronounce it. I mess up her pronunciation every episode. And I've used this yarn, Carizolana, which it's a fingering weight yarn, and it's a merino silk possum blend, and the cute kind of possum. They're very cute, but they're also very destructive when they're in their non-native environment. So that is these. The pattern is quite nice, although when I followed the thumb gusset instructions, you will see the increases there. They only go up to there. That was where they suggested you finish, and that there is your thumb gusset. I'm making these for a friend, excuse me, for her birthday, and as she's got slightly bigger hands than me, I've got teeny tiny, like child's hands, and I tried them on when I had gotten to that point in the gusset because I thought, oh, these don't seem quite big enough. Tried them on, and the gusset had the thumb finished somewhere down there on me, so I thought that is not going to work, and I didn't feel like undoing it and redoing the whole thing, so I just thought I'll knit some rows straight for a little while to get a bit more length in the gusset there. And it's okay. In future, if I was to knit them again, I would do the increases differently. For the gusset, instead of increasing every second row, I would increase maybe every third or fourth row instead, and that would elongate the gusset, and it would have a nicer shape to it instead of this like when you put them on, I don't know if this is just me or what, but I mean, they fit nicely, they look nice, they look totally fine. It doesn't matter about that unusual gusset shaping. But is it just me, or when you knit a pair of fingerless mitts, and I've knitted like 5 billion pairs, it was one of the only things I knit when I first restarted knitting as an adult. So you knit your fingerless mitts with a pattern down the front of down the back of your hand, and in the actual pattern, if you were to slice the top of your, no, that's not a very good explanation. You can see there the pattern runs right down the middle of the back of the hand here. But when you put it on, and your thumb, unless you've got your hand like that the whole time, which you never do, when you put it on, the pattern always gets shifted over to the side where your thumb is, just because your thumb wants to go around there. So the pattern always ends up off center, and that really bugs me. I've never really heard anyone else talk about it, so I wondered if either A, my hands are wonky and make the pattern wonky, or other people aren't as pedantic as me. But that really bothers me. It's clearly meant to be in the center and it's off to the side. Often when I'm doing things like this, I will shift this center panel maybe 3 or 4 stitches the other way, away from the thumb, so that the pattern still ends up down the center rather than off to the side. I didn't do it in this because I could see that no one else on Ravelry seemed to have done it, and they didn't look weird. And as soon as I did it, I regretted it, because look how far it is off to the side. It's literally just down one side of my hand. So that is a little bit annoying. Next time I will shift it over. The pattern needs to be shifted over, I've calculated it, about 3 at the very least, but probably 4 or 5 stitches the other way. And then it would be spot on. And I probably will make another pair of these because they're pretty cute. and they're great. They're a great little present. And I know that this friend that I've made these for likes to wear fingerless mitts while she's working in her studio, so that will be a nice little present for her, and then that colour's right up her alley as well. Pardon me with my phone on. Sorry. And I really like the yarn. Beautiful, really nice to work with. Look at that. It's not showing up on the screen, but these have the most delightful halo to them, which is from the possum content in the fibre, and I just love it. All possum yarns seem to have this same halo, and it's beautiful. I love it. I'm actually considering making myself a cardigan out of this yarn because I just love it so much. Really nice. And that lace pattern on the front, they're super easy to remember. These were a very quick knit. I actually walked around while I was in the city, I went to the National Gallery as well, and while I was walking around the gallery enjoying all the art, I was knitting on my little fingerless mitts. So they were almost done by the time I got home from the city, which was great. Really enjoyed it. Love it. So that's my next FO. And you know what I might do right now? My phone is on because I'm going to draw the winner of the August prize for the giveaway, that's the year-long giveaway that's going on in my Ravelry group, which is the year-long stash busting craft along. So you can knit or crochet or weave or whatever you want, as long as it's using yarn. And if you are using yarn from your stash, so anything that entered your stash prior or came into your possession prior to the beginning of 2016, if you've used that to make an FO, you can put it in the FO thread and you'll be in the running to win a prize once a month. And last week I said I was going to delay the drawing because I didn't have a prize for this month, but that was an error. I did have a prize. I had totally forgotten that I was going to give away these, and it's enough to make an adult pair of socks or 2 kids pairs, and it's Lana Gato socks, and it's really nice, really cute colour. And this was very kindly donated by Carolyn from the 2knitandcrochet.com.au shop, and I'd like to say thank you to Carolyn. This is a great prize. So let's see. There, as of I don't know, about 15 minutes ago, I checked the FO thread in the Ravelry group, and you can find a link to the Ravelry group in the drop down bar underneath this video. And there were 295 posts in that thread, and the first 4 posts in that thread were not eligible because they're from me. And so I've got the random number generator here on my phone. I don't know if this is going to show up, but it's not really gonna. Oh look, there you go. 4 to 295. Let's see. Number 20. Who is, oh sorry, 20. So who is 20? Post 20. That'll be on the first page. Who is it? Drum roll please. 20. Who is it? Oh, who is it? I'll laugh so much if it's Tokyo City Girl again. Oh, here we go. Oh my god, it's the cutest. Oh my gosh. So this is Juliana Jules Jukes. Congratulations, you're the winner of this yarn, two balls. And this is the adorable stash busting FO. How cute is that? Oh, that is just gorgeous. So, oh, now my phone's just not working. So that is Julie from Connecticut. If you want to send me a message on Ravelry with your name in it, with your full name and address, I will get these in the mail to you. Congratulations, that is just the cutest FO. Oh my goodness, love it, absolutely love it. That is just fantastic. So cute. Oh, really cute, love it. So congratulations, Julie. I can put my phone away now. And while I was on my freezing bus trip into the city, the reason for that trip was I was going to Sunspot Yarns in Canterbury, Melbourne, and they were having a very special trunk show for Circus Tonic Handmade. So the lovely Hannah from Circus Tonic Handmade Yarns was there with her beautiful wares. She had yarn and project bags, and I'm regretting now not getting one of the project bags, but never mind, next time. And I got two skeins. This one, which is Rock Parrot, absolutely gorgeous, so pretty. And this one that is European Goldfinch. So beautiful. And this one is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend, and so is this one. I don't know what I'm going to use them for yet, but I think I would really like socks in this. I think they would make really groovy socks. So we'll have to see. I've got a few unfinished single socks waiting for partners already that I should do before I cast on a new pair, but I don't know, I'm not very good at restraining myself when it comes to casting on. And while I was there, it's a beautiful shop. Sunspot is really gorgeous. If you're in Melbourne or if you're visiting Melbourne, it's definitely worth popping into Sunspot. The women that work in there are really lovely, and they have the most gorgeous selection of yarns. It's a beautifully curated shop. It's beautiful. While I was there, I was looking at a pattern book that I'd been trying to get my hands on for a while and hadn't managed to do so yet. And as I was flicking through it, the designer who wrote the book walked into the shop, and I was beside myself with excitement because this is the book I was reading, and it was the lovely Anna, who is probably better known as Sweater Spotter, who walked in, and she was a real delight, and she signed my pattern book for me, and we had a lovely chat. She's a real treat, and I am really excited about this book. And the first pattern I'm going to make from it, where is it? Is, I wonder if I've got a better picture of it. The Humboldt sweater. This gorgeous thing. I love it so much. I love that mild black and white pattern that it's got. I just love it. And I need to read through the pattern a bit more to help me decide which yarn I'm going to use. And I think if they've got the one I've got in mind in the store, I might pop back to Sunspot and get that yarn for that sweater. And I think I'll probably make my Humboldt sweater maybe one repeat longer. I don't tend to wear a lot of totally cropped sweaters. I have a lot of cropped cardigans that I wear, but cropped sweaters don't seem to look very good on me. I'm pretty busty, and cropped sweaters tend to sit a bit awkwardly on me. So I might just make it a smidge longer and it'll be great. I'm so excited to start that sweater. I keep thinking about it, and I've got some other FOs that need, some other whips that need attending to first, and some other deadline knitting that needs to be done first, but I keep stopping what I'm doing, just looking back through the book and just checking out the Humboldt sweater again. And last night while I was laying in bed, I was just thinking, I couldn't get to sleep because I was too busy thinking of what yarn I was going to use, and should I just do the black and white because I love it so much, or should I go a bit crazy and put a speckled yarn in there? And yeah, so I've been dreaming of this sweater, and it was so exciting to meet the lovely Anna while I was there getting this pattern book. So that was a really exciting trip, and I was trying to be I was trying to compose myself and just, act cool, but I couldn't because I was so excited. Years ago, I worked in a job where I often saw famous people and were working with famous people and doing things for them and with them and alongside them and stuff, and most of the time I just couldn't care less like who they were, just a person, no big deal, whatever. Every now and then there'd be someone that I would really, really like, and I'd be like, okay, Shara, just act cool, don't worry about it, they're just a person like everyone else. And then I'd stumble over my words and get all like, and that was somewhat like when Anna popped into the shop. It was very uncool, but never mind. It was a real treat. Now, one other thing that I've been busy with this week is dyeing some yarn. And I had a few presents to make for other knitters, and one of the things I like to do for my knitter friends is dye them some special yarn. And this is one. Sorry about the wonky skein, but it's the yarn that matters. And that's coming out reasonably well, and it's looking a little more blue on the screen. It's really more of a gunmetal grey, so a grey leaning towards blue, but more grey, and it's got some speckles on it as well. And that's an 80/20 sock yarn, superwash merino and nylon. So that will be heading off in the mail this week to a lovely friend. And then this was the next one that I made. And that's like a deep sort of wine colour. It's coming up a little brighter on the screen, but it's reasonably accurate. And that has also got speckles. And this is the same base as the one I just showed, so it's a 80/20 superwash merino nylon. I really, really love this. I think I'm going to have to dye myself some. That's actually a bit more accurate in the colour. Love it. Absolutely love it. And then the last one I dyed for myself to use, but to knit a friend a present. And that's this one. And it's quite accurate. So as you can see, it's on a stellina base, and it's I believe it's 75 superwash merino, 5% stellina and 20% nylon. Does that add up to 100? It's some combination of that. So that's that one. So in love with this. And this is going to be worked up into a new design that I'm writing a pattern for, and it will be a this one is going to be knit up into a child's baby sweater, similar to the sweater that I knit for Henrietta, the yellow one. that you would have seen a couple of episodes ago, and it's going to be similar to that, but Henrietta's jumper was knit in a DK weight, and this is obviously fingering weight, it's a sock yarn. So it'll be similar, but a little more lightweight, and it means you can use groovy sock yarn to make it. Sock yarn is actually a really good choice for baby clothes. Obviously you want to choose a nice soft sock yarn. You probably wouldn't use like a Regia or something like that, because that might be a bit too scratchy, a bit too robust for next to skin for babies. But if you choose a soft sock yarn, they're really good for baby wear because they tend to be a little more robust than pure natural fibres, simply because they've got that little bit of nylon in them, and they're typically superwash as well, so they're really easy to care for, which is handy when you are looking after small children. But this one, oh, I keep squishing it. Once it dried yesterday, I was just doing a meaner. Love it, love it. And as soon as I finish filming this, I'm going to start swatching with this yarn. I'm going to wind it up and start swatching, and I cannot wait because I think this is going to knit up really fabulously. Oh my god, I'm so excited. And I only had one more thing, and it's not a whip, it's not an acquisition, it's not an FO, it's a bit of a question. Have you ever used this? Let me see, empty bottle, I finished mine off yesterday. Soak wool wash, I guess you'd call it. It's a wool soak really. It's a wool soak that you don't need to rinse out. So this is it here. It smells beautiful, but I find that any scent of soak, if it's soak brand, it strips the colour off any yarn, commercial, hand dyed, doesn't matter. It just really strips the colour off the yarn, and I actually use it sometimes when I've had colours bleed into something else to get the colour out of the lighter colour that it's bled into, and it works a treat. You have to be really, well, I have to be really careful with it though, because if I've knit something in stripes, light and dark stripes, or as long as there's a light stripe in there, if whatever I'm soaking, say for example I was soaking a stripy sweater, I have to make sure it's laying flat and none of the stripes are touching other stripes. So the sleeve's not sitting over the body of the sweater or something like that, because the colour from the sleeve will transfer onto any of the light coloured stripes on the body, for example. And I've had things that, like commercial yarns that I know don't normally bleed at all, just turn the water like almost opaque because so much of the colour has come out of the yarn. And it only seems to happen with soak brand things. And I'm just wondering if that happens with anyone else. I have never seen anyone else write about it online, that is happening every time they use soak. And I've tried looking it up online to see if anyone else is writing about it, but it's actually really hard to look up because the name is also a verb, and it's not like it's called, you know, Wilson's wool soak or something. It's just called soak, and it makes it really hard to search for any information or reviews or whatever about soak brand things. But I've never heard anyone say that about soak, and I know it's probably the most popular fancy wool soak, wool wash, and I keep buying it, and I keep being really annoyed every time it strips the colour out of my yarn. And probably the most noticeable case was when I had knit some really groovy socks in some really groovy hand-dyed self-striping yarn that had neon yellow and grey stripes. And I finished the socks, they were totally awesome. I wore them once before blocking or soaking or anything, and then I thought I'll give them a wash and I'll let them sit in the soak. It wasn't this scent, it was something else, it was ages ago. And I let them sit in that soak, and once I got them out, they were actually grey and white striped socks. The neon yellow had just totally disappeared. There was not a skerrick of it left in the socks. And initially I thought, well, I know soak does that a bit, but maybe the yarn was not set properly when it was dyed. So I had quite a bit left over. These were just shorty socks that I had knit in that yarn. So I knit up a little swatch, test swatch, and I put it in a different type of wool wash. 100% fine, no colour bleed, nothing. It didn't shift the colour at all or fade the colour, nothing. I hung that on the line in the sun to see if maybe it was to confirm that it was light fast and things like that. No shifting colour, no change, nothing. I thought, okay. I put it in soak, colour stripped straight away. All the neon yellow gone, and it was just a grey and white striped thing instead. I'm like, okay. So I always have a bottle of soak in the cupboard, in the laundry, alongside my other wool wash things, and I use it if I've got something white that's got a stain in it, because I know it'll take the colour right out, or if I want to get rid of colours that have bled otherwise. But I tend not to use it any other time because of the colour bleed issues, and I don't know what's actually happening, but it's as if it opens up the fibres in the yarn and that lets all the dye out and it leaves them open. Because after I've done things in soak, I tend to get, so say for example, I wash or rinse this in soak after I dyed it, and then I went to knit with it, all the colours would come off on my fingers as well. If I use Eucalan, for example, that does not happen. And sometimes if I've used soak for some reason on something and it's totally bled, I will then give it another wash with Eucalan to close everything back up and seal it again. I don't know if that's how it works because I'm not a scientist, but does anyone else have issues with soak making colours bleed from yarn? And if they do, any hot tips? The other theory I had, because I'd never heard anyone else talk about it and thought maybe it was just me, that's quite possible, maybe it's got something to do with the hardness or softness of our water here. I wondered if is that even a possibility? I know that can affect when you are dyeing, particularly with natural dyeing, botanical dyeing, not so much with acid dyes like these, but it can have an effect. Hard and soft water can have an effect on your dyeing. So I wondered if maybe that had something to do with it. The combination of soak and hard or soft water increases the chance of shifting colours. But yeah, I'd be really interested to hear your experiences, and if you've got any hot tips on excellent wool washes and wool soaks, that'd be great. Okay, I think I've actually talked about everything I wanted to talk about today. I've drawn the prize. The only other thing, if you watched the last episode, you would have heard me talking about Melbourne Street Art. Well, while I was in the city the other day for the trunk show, I took a few little snippets of film around Melbourne, a little bit of some of the street art, and probably the most well-known place for street art that everyone goes to is Hosier Lane. And I took some video up there. The majority of it was not excellent. It was a lot of it's still graffiti officially, but it's more vandalism than street art. You'll see what I mean anyway. As hosier lanes become more and more popular, the art that's in there on the walls of the lane has changed significantly, and it's not as groovy as it used to be, but that's just my opinion. In my opinion, it's not as groovy as it used to be. But I've taken some footage of it and I'll show you, and I've taken some footage up another lane in the city. I think it might be called Union Lane, but I could also just be making that up. I'm not 100% sure. And I wanted to take some in the more secret areas, but I was running out of time and I had to go and jump on my bus, freezing bus. But I took a little bit of footage around the city, and if you're not from Melbourne, it'll give you a tiny little peek into what Melbourne looks like. It was a pretty cold, dreary day, so it's not its bright, sparkly usual self. Although if you're not from Melbourne, you probably have the false assumption that Melbourne weather is always rubbish. It's only rubbish like, I don't know, half the time. But I'll tack on those little videos at the end of this, and I will see you again for another episode in maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Bye.